Morning, y'all. It's early on the farm at Heal Thyself. It's about 7 o'clock. Sun's not quite up yet. And that's the whole point of why I'm out here early. I'm out here this morning to harvest plants to make our JADAM liquid fertilizer. These are going to be our high veg liquid fertilizers we're going to feed throughout veg. So the reason I'm up early is because we want to harvest these plants before the sun hits them, while there's as much morning dew on them as possible. This is when there's the most diversity of microbes on these plants. And you can still harvest them later in the day, but if you want to capture as much microbes that'll help break this down, get out early in the morning. It's beginning of April here, first week of April in Lake County. We're getting a heat wave in a couple of days. It's already going to be hot. It's going to be 91 here in a couple of days. So I'm getting out here early in the morning. These plants still have some morning dew on them. I'm going to flip the camera around and show you the first thing I'm going to harvest. This is a big patch of hairy vetch. Kind of see it here. Weird, it's not wanting to come into focus. I just got this new phone, y'all, and I'm still trying to figure it the hell out. There we go. Okay, here's your hairy vetch. This is a great cover crop, grows like crazy around here in Northern California. Nice little pollinator. I like it as a winter cover crop. I don't like growing this in the summer because it's so climby. It'll grab your cannabis plants and try to climb on your plants or anything else that's near. So this patch just came on its own. I think it's spread out of that bed. You can see we've got the goddess garden here and a big patch of it there. It just climbed over the fence. So you can see the grass is wet this morning, and that's what we want. I'm going to cut this up. I'm going to chop it up into some smaller pieces, and I'm going to throw it in one of our veg barrels over here. These are some of Tamara's old JADAM liquid fertilizers. And that's the great thing about these liquid fertilizers is when you empty a barrel, you never have to clean it out or empty it. This is last year's veg barrel. Look, there's a little plant growing in the bottom. Look at all that anaerobic goodness. So I'm just going to fill this veg barrel all the way up with my vegging plants. Anything that's fast growing, leafy green shoots right now, high in nitrogen, nothing toxic, nothing poisonous. They're all going to get chopped up into smaller pieces, put in there with some water and some leaf mold. And in 2 weeks, that'll be ready. Here's a miner's lettuce JLF that I made about a week or two ago, about a week ago. Still got another week or so to go. I'm going to add a little bit of water to it. A little bit of water has evaporated out of it. But you can see it's already getting a nice dark color. When this is really dark, it's ready to use. This will be ready to use in less than a week. Miner's lettuce, which is out popping right now in Northern California. Get out and find that miner's lettuce. I'm also seeing the deadhead nettle, the red nettle, the purple deadhead nettle, goes by a few names. It's out popping right now, so get out and find that dead nettle. All right, I'm going to look for a couple other plants, y'all, but I'm going to cut down that hairy vetch and get started on that one. So here's our first ingredient for the liquid fertilizer, our hairy vetch that I cut up into some smaller pieces while I was harvesting it. And that's going to be the first ingredient to go into our veg JLF barrel. You can hear our dosatron going off over there. I'm actually watering the garden right now because we're going into a few hot days. And it's already been hot. We haven't had any rain. So watering the fruit trees, watering our cover crops. So I'm going to get this vetch into the barrel. I'm probably going to do one more barrel of vetch, and then I'm going to head up into the Fay garden, look for some other plants to get. I know there's some mullein, there's some stinging nettle up there, some thistles. We'll look around, see what else we can get our hands on. I want to show you guys this also. I love a good long-handled pruner for chopping up material to make liquid fertilizer out of. So this is that same bin. I just, for a couple of minutes, chopped it up with this, dug it in there and chopped it, flipped it over and chopped it, just got everything into smaller pieces. You know, these plants have skins on them to keep bacteria, fungi, pests, and pathogens from outside, keeping them out of the plant. We want these microbes to be able to break down the plant, so we're cutting it into smaller pieces just so there's a lot more entry points in the plant for these microbes to get in and break down. So get yourself a long-handled pruner. It'll make cutting up your soft materials a lot easier. Now we are up in the beautiful Fay Garden, the fairy garden. There's a lot of awesome volunteer plants up here. I'm going to show you that we're going to add to this veg ferment. A lot of these are dynamic accumulator plants. They pull up hard to reach micronutrients from deep in the soil, like this mullein right here. This mullein is a great plant. You can wipe your ass with it. Tamara dries this, puts it in her smoking blends. It's an excellent herb. You can drink it. You can soak in it and take a bath. This is one that's gone to flower. Great pollinator, and you can see amazing pioneer species. It's growing in this completely unamended hugel. It grows up out of this super tough rocky soil. So, I mean, look at it. These are baby mulleins right there. It's one of the only things growing in this compacted alleyway where a 18,000 pound excavator completely compacted the soil. So we love mullein. So we're going to add a little mullein to this. Here we have a milk thistle. Now you have a lot of thistles around here. This milk thistle often grows really low to the ground. See, that's the top of it. It's growing more out, doesn't get really tall usually. Sometimes it will, but you'll often see it growing really short like this. Has a lot of white on the leaf. Has a lot of white on it. These are really high in silica. So we add this to this because we want these plants to be getting silica in their stems as they're growing. Lots more mullein here. We've got more hairy vetch there, a little vine. Here we have stinging nettle. And we only have a little bit, so I'm actually going to let this stinging nettle go to seed with the hopes that it will spread. A little bit of stinging nettle right there. A little bit of aphid on that stinging nettle. I don't know if we can get that shot. Oh, no. Anywho. Yeah, we need to get some more diversity planted in this garden. Get some more natural predators in here. Lots of California poppies. The yellow flowers there are starting to pop. Lots of mullein. Some different thistles. We'll add a couple of these different thistles. More of the stinging nettle there. So mostly what we're going to gather up here is going to be milk thistle. Here's another really nice version of that. Really nice example of that beautiful milk thistle. We're going to add any other thistles we find. And I'm probably going to harvest some of this mullein out of the pathways. I'll leave the mullein that's in the beds. Another milk thistle here, some really beautiful ones. Oh, there's a really big one up there. I'll walk up and show you guys. There's the quail. Talk about some of our native predators right there. That's good to have. Going to be a beautiful sunny day in Lake County. Some of the views we get from Heal Thyself Gardens. And I'm going to show you this one more very nice example of some milk thistle up here in this bed. There's a little one there. But look at this one. And this is what you really want. These big flower heads, as they're developing, once they develop, there are a ton of nutrients, growth hormones in those. So if you can, gather up these big thistles, these big milk thistles. They are beautiful. Yeah, you often don't have to go far. This stuff is growing in literally the worst soil imaginable. So those are the plants you want to use. Oh, here's another thistle. This, I believe, is the Italian thistle. And so we will add that to this veg ferment. Another little baby one there. Another nice thistle there. More California poppies. And then I'll show you some of these JLFs that we made a few weeks ago that are now broken down and ready to be used. This one was all mallow JLF. This is one of those dynamic accumulator plants, lots of micronutrients. And then these two are all veg. This was grass, This was mallow. This was a lot of nettle, a lot of grass, a lot of nettle. Same thing there. So these are ready to go. These can be used at 20-to-1 at their most concentrated. That 50 gallons will make 1,000 gallons. We'll start feeding this at about 100-to-1. So that 50 gallons would make 5,000 gallons at that dilution ratio. So, all right, y'all, I'm going to get back to harvesting some more of these plants for our veg JLF. And I'll get back to you when I find some more cool plants or when it's time to go gather our leaf mold. Okay, another great input for making liquid fertilizer. Grass. Ever heard of it? 2.5% nitrogen. Just harvesting all this nice grass. It hasn't gone to seed yet. It's still vegging. Very high in nitrogen. I'm trying not to get any of the dead parts. I've also got this big patch of hairy vetch climbing up the fence here. I'm going to rip all that down. Use a big chunk of that, and I think I'll have enough for my liquid fertilizer. Will be all filled up. Then we'll go gather some leaf mold. But get out there and harvest that grass early in the morning. You can see it's all still wet, still covered with that morning dew. These are the microbes. This is the most diversity of life. Get out there and harvest it while it's nice and wet. So now I've got my 50-gallon drum full of all my high veg materials, my grass, my veg, my thistles, my mullein. Now I'm going to add the microbes. I'm going to add the leaf mold. And I have some very special leaf mold here. What makes it so special? Looks like it was shipped to me. It was not. It was gathered here on the land a couple days ago by Aurora, Tamara's 7-year-old daughter. And our woofers were digging around over here in our juniper grove where I've got them leveling and putting in some new campsites, and we were finding killer leaf mold. And I looked over and I saw Aurora with a little shovel, and she was filling up a paper bag, and she came running over to me and she said, "Joey, I got a present for Mom." I said, "What is it?" She said, "It's that white stuff that you and Mom love." And she's right. She was having a little mommy-daughter date with Mom that night, and she put together a little present. And I was there when she gave Mom this box of leaf mold. She went and took it out of that bag, put it in this nice box with a little ribbon on it, and gave Mom this leaf mold. And these are the microbes. These are the shredders and decomposers that are going to break down this plant material. You can see how white it is. Oh, don't look at me. I'm also white, but not as gorgeous. Not this time in the morning. Don't have my makeup on. So yeah, you can see these white striations running through there. And we're going to add all this leaf mold. Normally for a 5-gallon jug like this, I'd add only about a gallon or so is all you need. And this is about 3 gallons worth, but you can see just killer leaf mold on this juniper. Really strong microbes that are breaking that down and turning it into soil. This is the leaf mold soil is what we call it. So these microbes, we're going to fill this up with water now and put a loosely capped lid on it and let it sit right here in the sun, right by our garden. And the microbes that are here, the strong ones that know how to break this down and function at this elevation and this exposure to the sun, they're going to come in here and colonize and multiply and break down all this plant and extract all the nutrients and minerals out of it and make it available for their plants. So when we use this liquid fertilizer, our plants can readily uptake it. So at its most concentrated, that 50 gallons will be diluted at 20-to-1. So that'll make 1,000 gallons of high nitrogen feed for our cannabis. I'm going to probably make one more of these maybe tomorrow morning, and I think that'll cover our veg for this garden. It's going to have all our veggies in it. It's going to have maybe 12 big cannabis plants in it and a lot of our food and herbs for the year. So that's it, y'all. JLF, JADAM liquid fertilizer. This is really DEM, Dragonfly Earth Medicine style inspired. JADAM. In the traditional JADAM teachings, they teach us to make these liquid fertilizers separately. We would do the grass separately from the thistle. We would do the mallow separately from the mullein, and then we would mix them all. But we've found that if you just put all your veg materials together at a healthy ratio, a nice mix, all that diversity in there, you've got a good veg ferment. And we've got one that's just a flower ferment. We've got one that's just a transition ferment. You know, we're looking at ways we can constantly make these systems easier, and combining all those fertilizers into one tank is one way to do that. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Long video. But I love y'all. Hope you get out there, make your liquid fertilizers, get that free fertilizer. Stop buying this stuff at the store. Mulch love, y'all. Peace.